Now, the IRGC has issued a direct challenge to the American troops, daring them to step onto the Iranian soil if they can, even as the warning echoes across West Asia. Washington is now considering possible ground invasion, raising fears that this conflict, even though Donald Trump is talking of peace plans, is actually on the brink of a very dangerous whole new phase. Now, Iran has said that it is training its troops for this day for the last 2 decades. And our next report tells you more.
As the West Asia war rages, the US is considering a possible ground invasion in Iran. Reports say Washington is preparing to deploy up to 3,000 US Army paratroopers to supplement some 50,000 troops already present in the Gulf. A move that will expand options to include deployment of forces inside Iranian territory. But US claims it has not made a decision yet to send troops into Iran, and that it is building up capacity for potential future operations in the region. The growing US military presence in the region comes even as President Donald Trump talks about a possible deal with Tehran to end the war. The White House is weighing options to ease Iran's chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, potentially by deploying US forces to Iran's shoreline. According to reports, Washington is readying to send the troops from the elite 82nd Airborne Division, one of the most prominent rapid response units in the US Army. The soldiers stationed at Fort Bragg in North Carolina can mobilize worldwide within 18 hours. They specialize in carrying out parachute assaults. The 82nd Airborne Division was formed during World War I. It was brought back after the beginning of World War II. Since then, it has seen combat in Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as against ISIS operations in the West Asia. These paratroopers are expected to join thousands of Marines and sailors aboard 2 amphibious assault ships, the USS Boxer and USS Tripoli, along with the dock landing ship USS New Orleans and accompanying warships. The Trump administration has also discussed options to send ground forces to Iran's Kurg Island, the hub for 90% of Iran's oil exports. Iran has issued a chilling warning to the US. Its parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf says Washington should not test Tehran's resolve. He has asserted that American forces could face consequences for decisions made by their leadership. Tehran claims it has used Qadar missiles to carry out strikes on USS Abraham Lincoln, forcing the American fleet to change its position. Though US maintains an air superiority through a combination of advanced 5th-gen fighters, Iran's difficult terrain poses a major challenge. It creates natural defensive barriers that favor guerrilla warfare and complicate troop movement. A possible ground invasion by US troops in Iran could dramatically raise the stakes in the war as it approaches the 1-month mark. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, now to put things in perspective, we're joined in the broadcast by retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who's a military expert and also the host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. Colonel Davis, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, I want you to weigh in on what is happening on the ground, even though the American president is talking of a 15-point peace plan. The fact that there are reports that say that thousands more of these American troops from the elite 82nd Airborne Division are being moved to West Asia as we speak, along with about 2,500 to 5,000 Marines that are coming along with USS Tripoli from East Asia. In your assessment, when this kind of a mobilization happens of ground troops, does it point towards a potential ground invasion of Iran?
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say a ground invasion, because that implies something like Desert Storm or the 2003 Iraq War, where you're coming in with an army. This is a raid at best, or you can seize a point target. You're talking like something like secure an airfield or secure another location. It is possible that you could, at least theoretically, take Karg Island, although that's going to be a pretty tall order for a force of this size. But even if you talk about taking down something like that, the question's got to be towards what end? What do you want to accomplish by taking that? And what is the defenses? What does the Iranian side have to counter it with? And how likely is it tactically to succeed? And my assessment is that there is literally nothing to gain here at all, because it could diminish Iran's capabilities to send out oil and to make money, but it won't eliminate it because they have other alternatives besides Karg Island. They're not as prolific, but they do have them. But the issue militarily is to go in and try and take that with ground forces. You're not going to roll the USS Tripoli or the USS Boxer up through the Gulf of Oman, through the Hormuz Strait, up the Persian Gulf, and then have any kind of a chance to attack Karg Island. The ships would never survive that journey, I don't think. So that leaves air insertion, either V-22 tilt-rotor Ospreys, Blackhawks, or Chinook helicopters, all of which are very vulnerable to virtually everything the Iranian side can bring in. So you could possibly lose quite a few troops even before they get there. Then once they get on board, then they're in range of literally everything that the Iranian side has, from shore batteries and artillery to short range, medium range, long range missiles, and of course every category of drones you can imagine. So this just has disaster written all over it for me.
Right, and also what do you make of these reports that have come in where the Iranians claim that they've in fact shot the USS Abraham Lincoln, one of the top American aircraft carriers? The USS Gerald R. Ford has in fact been taken away for some repair and maintenance work after what was reported to be some kind of a laundry fire. I mean, not a lot of people would think that laundry fires can result in that kind of damage. What do you think about this strategy of the Americans who are trying to project power using aircraft carriers? How effective have they proven themselves to be in this war so far?
Well, you know, I mean, I think some of the things we talked about when I was on your show before this operation was even launched, that there are very significant limitations because of the capabilities that the Iranian side has. And that's one of the reasons why the ships have been so far out of range. I mean, somewhere between 700 and 1,000 miles off the shore of Iran from the beginning, because they don't want to be in range of a lot of the most lethal capabilities that the Iranian side has, or at least if they are, they have time to intercept and identify and then shoot down any kind of missiles that may come. So far, we have lots of claims by the Iranian side. We don't have any confirmation from the U.S. side. Unfortunately, both will, be deceptive to their advantage anytime. This is an information war as much as it is a physical war. So far, we just don't have any proof whether the Iranian claims are true or whether the U.S. claims that none of those things have happened and it was an accidental fire or whatever. But the bottom line is it does show that there is a definite limitation of just exactly what an aircraft carrier can do in a modern era where the other side has drones and missiles.
And my final question to you, Colonel Davis, is the strategy of using this very extremely high-tech and precision interceptor missiles, which the Americans and the Israelis and their Gulf allies seem to be burning up pretty dramatically. 900 plus of those THAAD interceptor missiles having been consumed in just 25 days of this war. It takes 18 months to manufacture those interceptor missiles. In your assessment, in a war of this scale, do you think these interceptor missiles, even though they serve a very important purpose, can actually be of effect in this war?
Well, they can be of some effect, but everything comes down to numbers. And that's been one of the things that's been so graphically portrayed in the Russia-Ukraine situation. The side that has the most offensive weapons can outdo the side that has the fewest number of defensive weapons and defensive interceptors from whatever category that they want to have. And then, what degree of success the interceptors have. So it's a numbers game. If you can have more offensive air platforms and the other side can intercept, then you're going to win no matter what the percentage of them is. And if you run out of them, if you run low, then whatever the intercept rate is, then you're going to be in real trouble. If the other side has more drones and missiles and everything else that you can saturate the other side and use up all of their interceptors, then even what minimal percentage may genuinely be in effect here, you could literally be defenseless within a matter of months. But that all depends on how many offensive weapons you have. And that's, I think, the state of the future of warfare.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Colonel Daniel Davis, for joining us with that perspective there.
Always my pleasure.